Are we live now? The broadcast is live. I am Tom O'Neill from Gold Derby, here with three of my trusty Derbyites, Marcus James Dixon, Daniel Montgomery, Zach Laws from our staff, and I'm Tom O'Neill, the editor, and we're going to try our best to figure out these Golden Globe nominations during a year that is probably the hardest one we've had to face yet, because none of us are hearing directly from Globe voters as we usually do. We attend all the parties around town. We're bumping into them at the bar all the time. We're hearing a little tattle from them every bit and piece, and we often just feel the wave of support for certain movies that have momentum here in Hollywood. But this is a blind year. Everyone's buckled down with COVID, and they're not out there. We're not gossiping with them, and so we are on our own. So we shall start with, who should we start with? Let's pick on Daniel. We'll pick on Daniel to start. Best Drama Picture, Daniel. Let me look at your predictions if they're up to date here.
They are.
All right, and you are saying that Trial of Chicago 7 wins, Nomadland's in second. Defend it.
I think it's pretty neck and neck between, actually probably pretty neck and neck between all those top three, Trial, Nomadland, and Mank, because they're all nominated for picture, acting, writing, directing. They didn't miss anything really. Trial of Chicago 7 got a little extra with that best song nomination, which I feel like is maybe a little bit telling of support, because I don't think many people had that song on their radar until the Golden Globes. So I think, just in a close race, I feel like it has an edge. I feel like the Golden Globes will pick like a slightly bigger, flashier movie than Nomadland, sort of like 1917 beating Marriage Story last year. Yeah, that's why I'm leaning that way, but it's really a tight three-way race.
No.
Marcus, what do you think?
No, he's forgetting Promising Young Woman. This is something that could win, and you didn't even mention it. This also has writing and directing, and it has Carey Mulligan is obviously going to win actress, and so matching them up, which the Globes love to do. They love to match up, either a lead actress or actor with the film. For the longest time, I had Carey and Promising Young Woman both winning at the last second. I have moved Promising down to second, and I have Nomadland up in first.
So why did you do that? Why is Nomad at number one?
If they are wanted to predict,
are you just being following along of what the numbers say? Because we know that this may simply be a year of everyone copying each other. Those were the early predictions because they were place fillers. Nomadland was winning early on, like Venice and Toronto and places like that. So it was put out front, and maybe none of us just have the guts to take it out. Is that your case?
Well, no, because I just put it in. I was the opposite. And, Nomadland is, to me, the film that the Globe voters think will win Best Picture. So we know that they want to be, the ultimate predictor of the Oscar. That's their whole thing. There's only 87 voters, and this is what their goal is, to predict the Oscars. And so looking backwards from that, I think that they're going to put Nomadland in number one. But if I'm wrong, Promising Young Woman is going to win.
But why not Trial of Chicago 7? This is something that is a bit of history with a lot of superstars in it, with a named director and screenwriter. One of the most important moments in history in terms of defiance against the authority. Remember, up until this time, when you go through all the way up through the Korean War, America obediently bowed to whatever the government said. Oh, we're going into another war, whatever. This was the first time people stood up and said, wait a minute, is this war worth fighting? Are you people crazy? No. And I lived through this. As I've mentioned many times, I had a draft card, and I was lucky that my draft card was number like 157 or something. It was way up, so I wasn't called, and it was like the final year or two of the war. But I was 90 miles away from the trial of the Chicago 7, burning my draft card with everyone else at Notre Dame in defiance. This is riveting history, and on one hand, it seems old. On another hand, it seems too male. There are no virtually women in it at all. That's often a problem if there's not a gender balance in a movie. And I could see Promising Young Woman winning. I could actually see that happening. There are two movies right now that we know that have this amazing momentum that we can feel, and it's Promising Young Woman, and it's Minari is the other one, which is not eligible here, of course, because it's considered a foreign film by the Globes. But all right, Zach, take over. Show us the way. What's really going to win here?
Well, I agree that Trial of the Chicago 7 could win. And in fact, I had it predicted to win when the Globe nominations were first announced. I have it in second place now. I just switched to Nomadland right before we came on. So breaking news, I updated my predictions.
The way it's going, I'm going to take it out. I don't even know what I have at number one. Oh, I have it.
But basically, my logic was I was predicting Chloe Zhao to win director, and I wasn't predicting the movie to win anything else, and that didn't make a lot of sense to me. And I think, like Marcus said, it feels very much like a Boyhood type movie to them. It's the film it's been leading our odds, I think, ever since we opened the Prediction Center, and they want to look like they're predicting the Oscars, so it would seem logical for them to go with that. But I also think that with it premiering on Hulu this last weekend, people are starting to just now catch up with this movie and are, experiencing the same thing that all of us have experienced watching it when we did early, when it was making the festival runs, of what a great, empathetic, and sadly culturally relevant movie that this is. I mean, you talk about the relevance of Chicago 7. Unfortunately, Nomadland is becoming very relevant itself because of the economic hardships that we've experienced due to coronavirus. And so I could see Globe voters looking at this movie as a way to make an important statement about the kinds of films that we should be honoring right now.
But nothing happens in the movie. There's no plot. Don't we usually need a plot?
Nothing happened in Boyhood either. I mean, and it still won. There was no plot in Boyhood. But, it's not to say that there's no plot. I mean, the plot is she goes around the country, meets people. It's an internal journey. She goes from being a very prickly, isolated individual to opening herself up to the possibilities of relationships with other people. So it's a character study.
And it's also the arc of the movie is Frances McDormand's character, and sadly another aspect of it that is incredibly relatable and timely right now. The whole movie is her coming to terms with the death of her husband. And we start the movie right after his death, and she's on the move and constantly, in a way, kind of outrunning her grief, and she's trying to come to terms with that as well. And I really, really think that could resonate. It's not a plot-heavy movie, but like Zach said, neither was Boyhood, and neither was Moonlight, which also won Best Picture Drama before winning the Oscar for Best Picture. So I don't think that's going to be a problem.
The one movie we didn't talk about, which is the fifth nominee, The Father, I think there's more of an appeal to that movie for Globe voters than maybe we're giving it credit for.
I agree with that.
I should point out that I think that on the day of the Golden Globes, 1917 was ranked pretty low in our
because those idiots that go Derby. God,
yeah. It was probably fourth or fifth, like The Father.
So look what happened with that. So I wouldn't count that out entirely, especially because I think that there are possibilities for it to win acting prizes and possibly even the screenplay prize. I think we shouldn't underestimate it. I will admit I have it in fifth place as well, but it wouldn't surprise me to see that win either.
Yeah, it's a little tough because literally every other film in the category is nominated for both writing and directing, and The Father isn't up for best directing. So like that's not necessarily a deal breaker. Like, 1917 didn't have a writing nomination, and Bohemian Rhapsody didn't have a writing or directing nomination, and both of those won Best Picture at the Globes. But like when looking at, when trying to predict these, I it's hard for me to put that above anything that's scored across the board and even overperformed, relative to our expectations, like Promising Young Woman, which did get in for writing and directing, and actually could be like this year's Three Billboards, in a sense, more than another Frances McDormand movie would be, because it's also about kind of a woman's fury and search for revenge after like just an incredible injustice.
Yeah,
so for you guys, for the people that think Trial is winning, I'm just curious, what else do you have it winning? I'm guessing screenplay, and is that it?
Yes,
I have screenplay.
Sasha winning supporting actor.
Oh, you do?
I think Sasha could win supporting actor, but I don't know if they're going to go that all out for him. And he's probably, I mean, they could give best comedy actor to Lin-Manuel Miranda, but I feel like Borat's pretty far ahead in those comedy categories. So I feel like if they give it to him there, they have a couple of other options for supporting actor, especially if they want to keep their options open and give an award to someone who's in the Oscar conversation, like Daniel Kaluuya or Leslie Odom.
Yeah, it's interesting because they haven't shied away from giving somebody 2 awards on the same night before. I'm thinking of Kate Winslet, famously won both supporting actress and drama actress in 2008 for The Reader and Revolutionary Road. But it's important to remember that there was this groundswell of support to just finally give her an Oscar. It didn't matter what the movie was, and they just wanted to give her something. I don't know if there's the same kind of groundswell for Sacha Baron Cohen. So that's why I'm actually predicting Daniel Kaluuya and predicting Sacha in lead actor for Borat. But I could be wrong. I mean, he could win both very easily, or he could win supporting and lose lead actor to Lin-Manuel Miranda, like Daniel said. But I think that it's, it makes sense to predict him to win if you're going to predict Trial to win Best Picture, especially at the Oscars as well. But I think that the idea that he's going to get 2 awards on the night, we should caution ourselves.
They like to spread the awards
He's
around.
Also a producer.
Although we are often pointing out that when it gets to the TV awards, the actors who tend to win are the same ones whose series have won Best Series. The movies that tend to win at almost all of these awards, even when they conflict, tend to be the ones that just move us emotionally the most. I would say in this case, even though it's not nominated here, Minotti's doing that. It's just making everybody feel such love for this movie, and it's driving it. And so therefore, I wonder as an awardsologist, should we take that seriously? All they're doing, they could respond the same way to a Hallmark Channel movie, I loved that, Best Picture of the Year, check it off. So I get a little skeptical about that, but a lot of these movies do have heart, and I think that by the way, The Father was the first movie that I heard from an HFPA member that they absolutely love. Everybody loves it, Tom. Everybody, but it was also like one of the first movies they saw. So that's why I have to be a bit skeptical about that. But I know they love The Father, and I could see The Father winning both drama actor for Hopkins and Olivia Colman winning supporting actress. And if you haven't seen it yet, people watching this video and listening to the podcast version, see it, because yes, okay, it's a movie about dealing with a parent with Alzheimer's again. Oh God, how many times do we have to sit through one of those? This is magical. This is one that takes fantastic leaps of fantasy and all kinds of things with a purpose, with a grand purpose of getting you inside of the heads of the people involved. And boy, is it effective. It's really a powerful film. So all all the respect that this movie is getting, I believe, is well deserved.
Based on that heart factor and the hug factor, I mean, to me, looking at this list of best film dramas, only Nomadland and The Father have that. I mean, Mank and Trial and Promising, those are great movies, but you don't want to hug the main characters when they're over.
Oh, you do at the end of Chicago 7. Come on. That's the movie with the one, we talk about rooting factor and how often that's important in a movie. At the end of the greatest ending of all these movies is Chicago 7, when they get to the jury portion. I mean, to the final wrap-up portion. And I won't say what happens, but my gosh, it is just such a cool, I don't know if that happened in real life or not, but if it didn't, I give Aaron Sorkin a lot of credit for coming up with that finale, because it just puts a smile on your face and you like, that's brilliant.
One thing to remember about Anthony Hopkins and The Father is that he's never won a Golden Globe before.
I know, that's really curious.
Yeah, he's been nominated 8 times, but he didn't win for The Silence of the Lambs. He lost to Nick Nolte that year for Prince of Tides. And so I think that, combined with the fact that his movie was nominated for Best Film, along with Gary Oldman and Mank, those are the only 2 who are nominated for films that are in the Best Film category. I really do wonder if he could be a spoiler, because I think everyone is now predicting Chadwick mostly for Ma Rainey's, and if they're not predicting Chadwick, they're predicting Riz Ahmed for Sound of Metal. But Hopkins was a really early front runner for us, and I think that
He was.
You know, I'm predicting him right now, actually, as a sort of.
That's not an unwise decision, Zach. I have heard again and again profound love for him, because it's, you know why too. It's not just another dementia of Alzheimer's movie. I just went through this for the past 10 years with my father, having him look into my eyes and not know I was his son, and it was so heartbreaking. That it rips me up to this day. And we've all, of a mature age, have experienced something like that, many of us. And Anthony Hopkins is like your dad in real life. I mean, Anthony Hopkins has been with us for 30, 40 years as an actor. And as he goes in and out of this, and what I find curious about it is he goes in and out of it in very fluid moments, where he has these moments where there's nothing wrong. Well, what's everybody talking about? And then we go into the trouble moments. And there's something so realistic and so poignant about it. And I believe it's very possible that they could get Anthony Hopkins. Yeah. But as things stand now, let's take a look. Yes, you have Hopkins at 1, Chadwick at 2, Riz Ahmed at 3, Gary Oldman at 4, and the Mauritanian guy as Tahir Rahim.
Tahar Rahim, I believe.
Thank you for number 5. Just curious how he's really breaking through here. Why is Gary Oldman, stick with us, Zach, here for another minute. Why is Gary Oldman ranked so low? You would think, just based on the casting and the prominence of the film and Netflix, that he might be doing a little better than he is.
I mean, there's no other reason other than I have 3 people who I think are stronger ahead of him. Okay. He just won 3 years ago for Darkest Hour, so he's not overdue. I think if he had not won for Darkest Hour, he would be the front runner, and would probably be the front runner for the Oscar as well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, it's a numbers game. I think that the fact that Hopkins has never won outweighs his chances. The fact that Chadwick is sadly no longer with us anymore, and this is the only chance he's ever going to have of winning a Golden Globe, gives him a leg up over Oldman. And I think just the emotional resonance that people feel with Riz Ahmed's performance puts him ahead of Oldman. If Sound of Metal had gotten in for Best Film, I would be inclined to pick him because he seems to be following a Rami Malek type trajectory, from Emmy winner to potential Oscar winner. But yeah, I mean, those are the only reasons that I've got Gary Oldman ranked so low. I think he's brilliant in the movie, I think that there are people who have a stronger chance of winning than him.
Okay. I believe Riz Ahmed wins here. Who dares to take me on with their Chadwick Boseman argument? Marcus or Daniel, who goes first?
I have him in second. So I think you're definitely onto something. And he lost for The Night Of, which is interesting because he won the Emmy for that role. He lost to Tom Hiddleston for The Night Manager, which was at the time where
same thing with Rami Malek. Rami Malek lost the Globe for Mr. Robot and then won for Bohemian.
See, don't give up hope.
But yeah, I think Riz can do it, especially, if they don't want to give the Globe to somebody who has passed away, then that could be a huge negative for Chadwick winning this. I
did the numbers last night, and roughly I was just rounding out. Forget about the acting categories for a moment. I believe that in the total 80-some years of Oscar history, 20% of the contenders were posthumous. Oh God, I'm screwing this up now. And 20% of the posthumous wins won, whatever it was. It lined up almost exactly with what we're seeing in the actors category at the Oscars anyway, where we have 7 actors who competed, or maybe I guess it would be 8 actors who competed posthumously, James Dean being one of them, losing both times. So I guess that leaves us with 7. Of those, only 2 won. So I guess there's that 20% popping up again. So 2 won, and of course, the Peter Finch win was so shocking at the time because he really wanted it, and he really was campaigning aggressively. Legend has it he died in the lobby of the Beverly Hills Hotel while he was just coming out of an interview with Good Morning America. I believe there was an HFPA event going on at the time, and he was kissing babies, slapping backs, doing all of that campaigning stuff, and then boom, hit the ground. That's how bad he wanted it. But you're all too young to remember what a profound effect his character had on movies that year. People were leaning out of their windows across America screaming, "I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore." It was obviously prescient of how low TV could go for ratings. I mean, it's really disgraceful. In a way, it's lower than Jerry Springer. And it was terrifying to a 3 or 4 channel universe that thought that this could really happen. Oh my God. We would never let our standards lower like that in television. But he was up against Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver. So that was a really, of course, prestigious nomination. But there was just something about Peter Finch's role of letting out that inner rage we all have that was just dynamite and was the talk of the film world that year. So in a way, that kind of explains it. He was a veteran. It was all kind of it made sense. It really made sense. And the other posthumous win, of course, by Heath Ledger, was such an outpouring of love, and it was so tragic. It wasn't like he was shooting heroin or anything. It was an accidental death. And now dealing with Chadwick Boseman, here again is a beloved character in Hollywood who literally rises to royalty in Black Panther, he has this amazing ascendancy into American cinema, and then this tragic death. And he knew he was dying as he made Ma Rainey. And I mean, the whole thing is so poignant. But in general, they don't honor deceased people. They just it's oh, cruel Hollywood. It's out of sight, out of mind. So I don't know what to think there. I think that if Riz wins the Globe, then I think, oh boy, we have a very different. Then it's just Riz all the way. Maybe SAG could go for Chadwick, but I think Riz meets all of the criteria that normally would break out in this category, including the fact that he has a physical handicap. His character is so appealing and empathetic, and I just find it's a fascinating race. If he loses the Globe, if Riz loses the Globe to Chadwick, I will deny having said any of this, and I'm cutting all of this out of this video. And I just got to remember to wear the same shirt as I insert that. Oh, of course he's going to win. But what do you guys think of that theory? That only 20% of posthumous nominees win?
I think it's a case-by-case situation.
It's not. It's consistent throughout Oscar history.
No, you said 20% win. It's not consistent throughout Oscar history. And Oscar history is long. It's always case-by-case. It's the circumstances of the death, the time before the death, the roles, the landscape of that Oscar year in terms of the other nominees or potential nominees. It all factors in. I feel like Chadwick Boseman is more reminiscent of Heath Ledger in the sense that this is kind of a crowning performance that I feel like would have been a contender to win had he still been alive. It's such a big, grand, showy, emotional showcase, and it gains even more emotional power when you realize with both this and Da 5 Bloods, he made both of those films while he was fighting cancer. He made Black Panther while he was fighting cancer. And so he knew that he was kind of building a legacy that he might not have much longer left. And so the idea that this is his sort of capstone performance, it creates this kind of groundswell. Because the performance is there, because the film might do well across the board. Here, the thing giving me pause at the Golden Globes is that it's not nominated for Best Picture, and The Father is, and Mank is. So maybe the Hollywood Foreign Press isn't as sentimental about that as other awards group might be or might not be. But I just feel like there's just so much love for him and pain from not only his death but all the work he won't get to do now that we are seeing so much in the last couple of years what he was capable of. So I really do think he'll still win, even though they didn't nominate his film very much else other than Viola. That's it. But yeah, I think Anthony Hopkins is next in line. And Riz Ahmed does have a shot. I feel like his momentum has been building throughout the season. And maybe if, the Golden Globe nominations had been a week or two later, we might have seen that Best Picture nomination or Best Supporting Actor nomination, because I feel like it's going to be doing better and better as the season goes along. But here he's the only nominee, so I'm not entirely confident enough to pick him. So yeah, I think it's Chadwick, but it's not a done deal here. I think he could lose this and still win the Oscar, though, depending on how.
Yes, I think that's possible too, especially given a comment. Thank you. I didn't see the name who flashed it up here on screen during all of this. Imagine how everybody is going to be pissed off if Chadwick loses. It may be a quirk of human nature that in the privacy of your home when you're checking off a ballot, you go, oh, it's a wasted vote to vote for a dead person, so I'll just and everybody just does that, and Riz wins or Anthony Hopkins wins. I think there's going to be such an outcry of outrage over this that it could be really nasty.
But what if the Golden Globes ever?
I was just going to say, depending on the complexion of the other winners, literally and figuratively, it might remind audiences of the report that there are no black members of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association.
Yes.
I was just going to say, I mean, when have the Golden Globes ever cared about their public perception about pissing people off?
You bet.
But you make a good point, Daniel, and that's I don't know how much impact that that report is going to have since it broke so late. I mean, there's only like 90 members, so they could easily convene a meeting and discuss how they might want to, go forward in light of that. But I mean, it could certainly have an effect on any last minute votes that were coming in.
I have right now Viola Davis, I see, winning, but Carey Mulligan at number 2. It's interesting when we look back on the days not so long ago when we all had Frances McDormand at number 1. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm skeptical of this Vanessa Kirby thing. I know she got the Globe and SAG and all of this, but I just don't understand that whole thing.
I had Viola winning forever and ever until I actually saw Promising Young Woman. I think I was the last person on earth to see it. And I go, oh, well, Carey Mulligan's winning. It's so obvious. If you actually watch the performance, she's the female Joker. And Joaquin just won last year. It's a similar type of role, a revengey type of role. And it's about all this female empowerment. And Dan Allen agrees with me. Carey has been gaining momentum. I think she's got it in the bag. Now, the question, you just brought up the article that was written about having no black members. That could hurt her chances if the voters do reconvene, like Zach suggested, and say, well, we need to, show some support to some of the black nominees. Maybe Viola could get a boost that way, but I really think this is Carey's to lose.
Yeah,
but
I think
while you feel empathy or feel little empathy for Carey Mulligan for being crazy, Viola Davis, your heart breaks for her throughout that whole film. The heart, her struggle just to get a Coca-Cola or a moment of respect. And then the minute she's the recording session is over and she's in that cab on the way out, your heart crushes because she's returning to a cruel world. That's what's so powerful, the physical transformation she undergoes. I realize she doesn't have the screen time there. I think there was a time not so long ago that we practically all had Viola winning this race. Or no, of course, we had Frances McDormand in there too. But we all considered it to a large degree that Viola was one of the front runners and could lose this till we had seen Carey Mulligan. I've got to watch Promising Young Woman again because I had to watch it on pay-per-view and I accidentally hit the button for Spanish. So I watched it in Spanish with English subtitles. But yesterday, really?
Wow.
So yesterday I got a screener of it, a DVD in the mail. So I'm actually going to watch it in English.
Yeah.
So
I think Carey sewed at least the Golden Globe when the nominations were announced, and we saw that Promising Young Woman, because it always seemed like she would get nominated at least at the Globes, and maybe writing nomination also for Emerald Fennell, but it also got a directing nomination and that Best Picture nomination. While Ma Rainey didn't really get much else, like I was talking about with Chadwick. Viola and Chadwick are the only nominees for that film. So I feel like of this field, Carey kind of jumped to the front of the pack, and it feels like things are lining up for her because Viola Davis and Frances McDormand already have Oscars. Viola has not won as a lead actress, but she'll almost definitely get more chances. Like there's going to be no shortage of Oscar prestige movies that Viola Davis will be in for the next decade, I'm sure, or more. And this is sort of a capstone moment for Carey Mulligan too, although, you know, she's still very young and will have very many more films too, but she hasn't been as frequent a nominee as Viola and Frances. So I feel like there's going to be more urgency for her. And we always talk about how awards groups, like the Oscars especially, but awards groups have a bias towards younger actresses, which hasn't always been the case in recent years. We have seen, you know, Oscar voters recognize that women over 40 exist. And
isn't Viola like the 5th oldest winner of Best Actress at the Oscar? I think Marcus wrote that article, right?
Yeah, right behind Jessica Tandy.
No, yeah, I think she would be in the top 10 of the oldest actresses.
At 55 or whatever she is. I mean, it's just disgraceful. I know. By the way, thank you, Matt Noble, for the comment he just flashed up here on the screen where he was, thank you, there it is. He says, if you think Nomadland wins Best Picture, there's a chance that Frances goes along for the ride. What do you think of that theory, everybody? It's interesting.
I mean, if she hadn't just won for the, I almost said There Will Be Blood. If she hadn't just won for 3 Billboards, I would think she had a better chance of winning for this, because it is odd that you would give this film Best Picture and not reward the person who is like so much the reason why people love it. You know, I mean, she is Nomadland. But I think the fact that she just won hurts her chances. I'm going with Carey Mulligan as well for all the reasons that Daniel and Marcus outlined. And it's important to remember that, you know, there's a rooting factor for her that's growing in much the same way that Viola Davis had a rooting factor when she finally won for Fences. You know, people want to just reward her for something. And also I think that, you know, in the same way that 3 Billboards addressed the kind of anger that a lot of people felt in the moment, Promising Young Woman in its way also addresses a lot of anger and frustration that people have. And so there's this kind of rooting factor for her character as well. So I think that there's this kind of perfect storm that's brewing for her that we could see her kind of just, this could be the start of her sweep of the season, as far as I can tell.
The interesting thing about Nomadland is that even though Frances McDormand is front and center for the whole film, the fact that she did win for 3 Billboards means she, you know, which was her 2nd Oscar already, means that like her candidacy hasn't really been front and center in the conversation around that film. I feel like Nomadland, in terms of an awards movie, feels more like a Chloe Zhao film than like the Frances McDormand film. I feel like we're going to see that pair up.
That's what John Benetti just put up on the screen, and he's right. That is the pair up that we will see, I think.
That's what I have.
Yeah.
And then
but
Chris
they
Rose
don't often like to give lots and lots of awards to one movie, although, of course, there are many.
Chris is reminding us Frances would win a producing Golden Globe if Nomadland wins picture.
Very interesting. Now let's talk about one of the most fascinating Globe contests, and that says a lot in a year where we have many fascinating races. And let's talk about Best Comedy Musical Picture. In any sane universe, Hamilton would win hands down. I mean, I didn't see the Disney Plus version. I did subscribe to Disney Plus just so I could see it, and you know, shame on me, I've not watched it, but I did see it on Broadway, and I was blown away by it and the genius of the whole thing. And then it's up against Borat 2. Now, just think back a couple of years ago when the common belief of prognosticators sizing up the Golden Globes was, well, you know, those frat boy movies never win. And they were talking about things like The Hangover. And then when The Hangover won, they went, what? Those kind of movies never win. So the slash comedy musical films that would win would tend to be a little more tasteful or you know, less insane. You can't. I mean, Borat is so far over the edge; it's half down the cliff. Not that it's not a fine film, but there is a very strong feeling historically. I don't know how. I have to go back to see how recent it is. That the really ridiculous frat boy movie has won over something serious. Now we know that movies with music tend to win Best Musical Comedy. That has been true historically. It's not been as true in the last 5 or 6 years as it used to be, where if there was a movie with music comedy in it, it almost automatically won up against competitors. But right now, those two seem to be neck and neck. So I have Hamilton winning. I think it's the prestige winner here. I think these are, being members of the Hollywood Foreign Press, all the more appreciative of the fact that this film exists and is as powerful as it is. But who among you, other than Zach, has the guts to say Borat 2 will win? Other than Zach.
Yeah.
I think, I've got Borat winning. I think it is a close two-way race. It's just so hard to measure the Hamilton thing, given that, there's so much question for so long over, well, is it a film? Will it be eligible for film awards or TV awards? Should it be eligible for anything because it's a filmed version of the stage production and not an actual new production of it for TV or film. So it's this weird hybrid that it's hard to figure out what people are going to make of it. Obviously, the Globes liked it because they nominated it for picture and actor. So I think it's really going to be between those two. But I have Borat winning both of the lead acting categories for comedy musical, and it would be odd for me to think that they're going to win those and the film is not going to win. Although I could see them going Bakalova for Borat and then pairing up Hamilton with Lin-Manuel Miranda and maybe give Sacha Baron Cohen the supporting actor prize if they're being really strategic about hedging all their bets and giving everybody a little bit of something. But yeah, right. Like it has the political relevance, not, with the state of America and the Giuliani thing. It feels like it has more of a sense of import, like as a satire than your typical that frat boy humor kind of thing.
I was asking a HFPA member about 2 weeks ago, because I loved Sophia Loren's movie, The Life Ahead, and I had just interviewed her, and I was asking this HFPA person, does she have a chance to win? In the old days, she would have been an automatic nominee and a very likely winner, because especially when Lorenzo, who was president of HFPA, a good Italian, was kind of running the show, pulling the levers behind the scenes, would have helped it out a lot. But this HFPA person said to me, oh, no, Tom, no, Sophia's not going to even be nominated. And I said, well, why not? And they said, because The Life Ahead is going to be nominated for Best Foreign Film at the Globes. And they will feel in their mind that they've taken care of it. That's exactly what happened. So whether or not that was the reasoning, I don't know. But this HFPA member felt so 100% secure in her prediction that it startled me when I saw the result, especially given how magnificent The Life Ahead is. It's really a gem of a film, and her performance is outstanding. So when we're talking about, as we are now, how they divide up everything, remember they sell seats at tables like many award shows do, and that's how
not this year.
That's true. They're not this year because of the pandemic, but very often they lavish studios that buy a lot of tables, and it's just criminal how a lot of these award shows are won and run. But the Globes often, they're notorious for for, wasn't it Jacqueline Bisset who won a Globe a couple of years ago for a movie that we went, where did that come from? And it was something on Stars. And they went, oh, they wanted to give Stars that win. They often do that. There's an awful lot of Sacha Baron Cohen going around at the Globes this year. It's just substituting him from what might normally be a film. It's impossible to believe, to me anyway, that Borat wins comedy musical. Borat beats Lin-Manuel Miranda for actor. That Borat wins supporting actor for his best performance. Really, I believe he's the central character of that movie, Chicago 7. And I just, come on, enough.
Well, that's why I'm not predicting him to win Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm predicting Daniel Kaluuya for that exact reason. I mean,
Rob just posted the smartest thing anyone has posted all day. There it is. Borat is winning all three: comedy, film, actor, and actress. I agree 100%.
Oh, Rob, you're nuts.
To Daniel's point earlier, too, I mean, this movie is not just like a frat comedy. It's a political satire, and it's, a very relevant political satire. So I just, look, I can see Hamilton winning, but I also think that it's hurt by the debate about whether or not it even belongs in these film categories or if it should have been competing on the TV side. I just kind of feel like the social relevance of Borat, the fact that we're still talking about all these crazy QAnon people, and, it ends with him, going undercover with a bunch of crazy QAnon people. I think that could, have an effect on the way that they're voting, right? Like they could just sort of appreciate the critique of our American political system in this age.
The thing about Hamilton is we all know it's not a film, right? And we all know in about 5 to 10 years, they will make this into a feature film. And then what? Will it get nominated again? Will it win again? Like it'll be so strange to have it win twice, once for the Broadway version, once for the film version. So I say just wait. Golden Globe voters, just wait for it to become a movie. Then you can, bestow all of the awards you want onto it, and it won't have this asterisk next to it.
Oh, you're all nuts. Hamilton has got this in the bag. The Prom, I loved The Prom. I thought it was delightful. It's a shame that it's up against such stiff competition it can't win, because it certainly was one of my favorite of the year. Palm Springs really held in there, didn't it? It's got a chance for a lot of wins, too. I think Andy Samberg could win this. It has been pointed out often here in these comments that he is a previous host and WGA and ADGA nominee. There's something happening there. And then music. I mean, that nomination is so ridiculous. What's it doing there?
I don't know. I'm waiting for the expose about where Sia flew the Hollywood Foreign Press Association.
How many Zoom concerts did she get?
I will show you my eyes if you vote for my movie.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it could win. We're just talking about how just because something's ranked 5th place in our odds doesn't mean you should count it out.
I feel like this is one of those cases where the nomination is the Globes going rogue. Especially after the backlash, once people became more aware of the film and then started reading some of the previous backlash that had occurred last fall about the casting of the film. And since the film came out, the reviews of it, especially in terms of how it treats autism, I feel like this is not publicity they would want having this thing win anything.
Yeah, and you know how the comedy categories are always kind of the weaker ones at the Globes, but when you have a film as good as I Care a Lot and it only gets a Best Actress nomination, it almost makes you super annoyed that some things get into the picture nominee list that maybe don't belong there. So I'm just going to give my shout out to I Care a Lot. If you haven't seen it on Netflix, go watch it now. It's one of the best movies of the year.
Wow.
Yeah, they were much
Kate
better.
Hudson got that Best Actress nomination over Meryl in The Prom, which I thought The Prom could win until Meryl wasn't nominated. Like, they nominated James Corden, but I felt like if a film can't get Meryl Streep a Golden Globe nomination, they probably
But that
just aren't
performance of she's parroting herself. I mean, it's really a hoot what she's doing there.
Mhm.
Now let's talk about the possible confusion, mix up, wrench into the machine that this comedy musical actress race causes. Here, Maria Bakalova, of course, is competing for lead actress. At the Oscars, she's competing for supporting. Of course, they have the option, those voters, of putting her wherever they like. And they may say that she is the lead actress, as they did in The Reader, even though all the FYC ads said she's campaigning for supporting actress. And then, so in a normal universe, she was such a breakout performance this year. You could see them doing, letting her win either of those categories. But then we have this Anya Taylor-Joy Emma thing going on here, where, boy, she's got two prominent nominations. Emma is a wonderful film, by the way, and in the costume drama category, or I guess tradition that they really love. Could this be a Taylor-Joy love fest where the Queen's Gambit and she gets nominated, she wins both just because she's so red hot now? Or does this kind of disqualify her here because Maria is so far out front? Or Marcus's theory that Rosamund Pike is so great and I don't care that she wins.
I do have Rosamund in second. I agree with Rob that Borat is going to win all three. The whole Maria Bakalova thing, I don't know if it will confuse Oscar voters because she's getting in at supporting everywhere else. I think this is the only place, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, the only place that she's been, entered into lead.
That's right. I believe so, and we've seen that happen. Like, sometimes there's confusion, but other times, like a Catherine Zeta-Jones, like she was a lead at the Globes too, and still won Supporting Actress Oscar.
I've forgotten that.
Yeah, and Alicia Vikander, they put her in lead for The Danish Girl and nominated her supporting for Ex Machina, and she lost both Golden Globes, but she still ended up winning the Oscar. For Anya, I really feel like the story, I feel like the Emma nomination was sort of piggybacking onto the enthusiasm for Queen's Gambit. I feel like that's maybe the closest to a lock on Golden Globes night is her for the Queen's Gambit, because that was just such a phenomenon. So I don't think they go for her here, especially because they didn't nominate her film for Best Picture. And they didn't nominate French Exit for Best Picture. And that film, after it premiered at the New York Film Festival last fall, it kind of lost a lot of steam. I do think because I Care a Lot just premiered and it got so much buzz and good notice, maybe too late. But I do think that Rosamund is the one who could probably upset Bakalova.
Listen, as Charlie Bright just said, Maria Bakalova was so committed to her performance that she was willing to be in a room alone with Rudy Giuliani. That alone makes her deserving of a win.
Oh my God.
I mean, honestly, though, like you compare what, all due respect to all the other nominees in the category, at least three of them. What Maria Bakalova did, what Maria Bakalova did in Borat, it's just you can't compare it to anything else, because I mean she had to be in character all the time. I mean, it's basically like on the level of something like Andy Kaufman or Sacha Baron Cohen in the same movie. The commitment that she had to playing this character is unparalleled. And yeah, the fact that she was able to fool Rudy Giuliani, which I don't think takes that much skill, but she was able to fool
4 seasons lawn and tractor fooled Rudy Giuliani, or whatever that was. Total landscaping.
But yeah, I mean, her commitment to the role is just unparalleled, and I think that that's going to really and also like she is the breakout star of the year. I mean, she came out of nowhere. Nobody had any idea who she was until this, and I think that there's something to rewarding somebody who can just come right out the gate with a performance that's strong. Like, I think she's pretty much got this in the bag. If there is a spoiler, I think it's Rosamund Pike, just because that movie got the buzz at the right time. But I think the fact that it didn't get nominated anywhere else might hurt her chances a bit.
Well, let me warn you about this, which is 2 of the 4 or 5 Golden Globe consultants who I spoke to, whose job is to, whisper in every ear and guide every voter toward their movies, that while only one of them actually represents the film, they all were saying, and no one was saying she will win, but everyone was saying, watch out for Michelle Pfeiffer in French Exit. They really like it. They think it is a real moment for her. And they like her a lot at HFPA, and it could happen. None of them were saying it would, but they were all saying, do not discount Michelle Pfeiffer in French Exit. And they were saying this weeks before the nominations had been announced. Just warning you. So what category do we do next here? We do
supporting actress.
Yes, let's do that here. My dear friend Amanda Seyfried, she just went in the Oscar odds from first place to third. That's not the direction we want to go in when we're nominated. I have Olivia Colman winning because I believe they love the father so much. And I believe that, as Sally Field reminded us, when they love you, they really, really love you in Hollywood and give you awards away for a period of a few years until they fall out of love with you, as they did with Russell Crowe. Olivia Colman doesn't really give much of a performance, though. I mean, she's Olivia Colman, and she's just expressing great concern and love, and a sense of overwhelming helplessness in the face of her father's decline. But that empathy alone, I think, could help. And it's such a wonderful film on so many levels. But then we have this other factor, this Glenn Close and Hillbilly Elegy, where we all know she's overdue, everybody in Hollywood, for an Oscar. And she hasn't won a Globe, has she?
She won for The Wife.
She did? Okay, yeah. Thank you. My God, how could I have forgotten that? So, since they like to foretell Oscar wins, HFPA voters now say, oh, well, we'll just give it to Glenn, and that will help her get the momentum needed to winning the Oscar finally. We just cannot live in a world anymore where Glenn Close does not have an Oscar. It's unacceptable.
They did try that a couple of years ago, because I remember a lot of us thought, myself included, that when she was up against Lady Gaga for Best Actress, it's like, oh, it's the Globes, they'll go for Lady Gaga. And when they gave it to Glenn Close, that was the moment a lot of us thought, oh, the Glenn Close thing is happening. And then the SAG Awards, Glenn Close won. And then Critics' Choice, Glenn Close won. And then the Oscar. So I don't know if maybe they feel burned by that. I don't know if they're going to want to do that here. Possible they just like the performance, although they didn't nominate anything else about Hillbilly Elegy. They definitely like Mank and The Father more as movies overall, and they love Olivia Colman. She's never lost. And Amanda Seyfried is that kind of young breakout starlet. Kind of person. This is a breakthrough role for her. She's been in the industry for well over a decade, but this is a real critical industry breakthrough for her in terms of esteem. So they could go with her. I think it's one of those three, but it just depends on what the Globe voters are thinking. Do they want to get another ball rolling for Glenn Close, or do they have more affection for the other performances and they're just going to go with that? I've right now got Amanda with Olivia close behind.
Chris Beecham pointed out that Glenn Close has got 3 Golden Globes because she has 2 on the TV side as well for Damages and The Lion in Winter.
Yeah, and I had forgotten that, and I should, of all people, I'm such a Lion in Winter queen that I, should, and I certainly remember her winning, and it was a wonderful performance, but it just gets me so riled up that I know Katharine Hepburn in The Lion in Winter is my greatest favorite, as you all know, film performance of all time, and so it is.
I think she's going to win a 4th because I don't know. I think they'll get it right this time. I think they'll correctly predict Glenn Close's Oscar win this year. It's just it is the showiest performance. I think that she pretty much sewed up the Academy Award the first time people saw her in that wig and those glasses. And I think a lot of people feel bad that she lost.
Of course.
And Olivia Colman nominated with her is going to keep reminding them that they feel bad about the last time.
Exactly. And in all fairness, it's like Colman earned that Oscar. It
was a fantastic win. It was just really sad at the same time.
But Glenn Close lives in New York. She does not live in LA. I believe that has hurt her through the years. And there was another factor that just went out of my head of why she is disadvantaged in this award.
Well, the good news is Tina Fey will be in New York hosting this year. She could just, go to Glenn's house and give her 4th. I think 3 is a lot. Glenn has 3 and Olivia has 3. Olivia's never lost a Globe. So that's why I'm going with Amanda Seyfried here. And they do love Mank. The Globes love Mank way more than
they give it a billion, yeah.
So even though, Mank was almost shut out at SAG outside of Gary Oldman, that I do think that doesn't matter here. And so you can still say that, Amanda could win this and then go on to win the Oscar, even though she's not even up for SAG.
That's a pull over Regina King.
Yeah.
And what about Amanda? She doesn't have a lot of screen time. She doesn't have a lot of big explosive scenes, but she certainly makes an impression. And she's a delight to watch. What chance do we give her of still winning?
I have her ranked in 2nd, so I think that it could happen, especially considering that she and Helena Zengel from News of the World are the only 2 people in the category who have not won before, so that could give her a leg up. But I think it would be odd for her to be the only win for Mank. I feel like if she's going to win for that, Mank might. We'd have to consider Mank a stronger contender for picture and director. And as Chris pointed out, we should say Olivia Colman could very easily get, she's going to get her first Globe loss, at least for The Crown. There's no way she's winning that category. So, she might just double the amount of losses that she has.
I forgot to mention one other surging rocket in the award races of late, and that is Daniel Kaluuya in Judas and the Black Messiah. There is a lot of momentum gaining for him, and a lot of love, and a lot of pressure in this town. A lot of pressure in the sense of whisper back and forth. Oh, isn't it great? Blah, 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 blah. I see, Zach. You have him in first place. I could see him absolutely winning. Personally, I just believe that Sacha Baron Cohen is such a revelation and such a delightful rebel who gets all the best lines in the movie that it's a side of him that it reminds us he's a serious actor, and so that's why I've got him in first. But Leslie Odom was a number one in our odds forever. He I don't know if he's still in first for Oscars. I'd have to look, but he's certainly a strong factor here. And then we've got the Bill Murray Veteran Achievement Award thing going on. It's not much of a performance, but we know how, at least at the Oscars, they love to reward the old timers they've missed in the past. And then there's Jared Leto in there for the little things. Who wants to jump in first here?
Well, I've got I've been overthinking this drastically. So like I have this I wrote an article a few days ago about how like there are these three multi-nominated actors in overlapping categories, and they might want to send them all home with something. Leslie's nominated for Best Song, but there I think they might want to give something to Andra Day. So they'll give Leslie Odom this one over Sasha, and then award Sasha over in musical or comedy. Because I think they might want, because again, like sometimes the Golden Globe voters love to do their own thing. Other times they love to like hedge their bets, and they want to see their winners up at the Oscars. And so they will put Sacha Baron Cohen as a winner, and Andra Day as a winner, and Leslie Odom Jr. as a winner eventually, just so they cover so many of their bases. So I've got Leslie winning here, but I think it's really, really razor tight between him, Sasha, and Daniel. I think they're the only three in this one, unless Jared Leto pulls an Aaron Taylor Johnson and it's just like all bets are off. But yeah, I think it's one of those three. Daniel Kaluuya, I would be ranking higher here, but it's sort of the same principles of Riz Ahmed, where like there's not much other love for it at these awards. The Judas' only other nomination is for original song. So I think Daniel Kaluuya could do better in later events, even if he loses this. But right now I've got Leslie, even though I'm not super confident.
This to me is a category I'm not losing any sleep over. Daniel Kaluuya has this in the bag. He's rising at the right time, like Tom mentioned. The movie was a late arrival. So we weren't really predicting it for a lot of things. And when you look at it like that, that means it didn't disappoint on nominations morning. Whereas One Night in Miami, we all thought would get a ton more nominations than it did, which was, a big strike on the film, I thought. And so Daniel Kaluuya, have your Golden Globe speech ready early because you are going to.
Yeah, it is very surprising that One Night in Miami is not up for Best Picture, considering that it got in for directing and supporting actor as well as song. I think
that's a Regina thing. I think that was if anyone else had directed it, they would have been snubbed, but they just love Regina King.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. But yeah, I'm not like 100%. I'm not as confident as you are that Daniel Kaluuya is going to win because I've been going back and forth a bit. But the movie premiering after the Globe nominations came out, this was a late breaking movie. People are just now catching up with it and seeing how phenomenal Kaluuya's performance is. So I think that could give him a leg up. But Daniel makes a good point about how Leslie Odom Jr. could win here as a way of rewarding his double nominations. I'm predicting him to win in song by that logic.
That's what most people are doing. I am overthinking this. I'm going out on that limb for Andra Day for Best Song.
But listen, don't count out. Oh, go ahead.
The thing with Judas opening late, that helps it. That doesn't hurt it, because now this is when Daniel Kaluuya is doing all of his press, whereas Leslie Odom Jr. did his press, basically last year.
And I should also say, don't count out Jared Leto too much, because I know that it's easy for us to just sort of say, I know you are, but listen, dads are coming out in full force for the little things. It's like it should be playing on TNT constantly right now as part of its Oscar campaign. But he's been campaigning hardcore for that movie, and I know it's easy for us to just sort of write that off as a weird Globes thing. But he did get a SAG nomination too, so don't be surprised if if you hear his name.
Okay, I've got a dash here. You guys can stay on and keep talking about the comedy, the TV categories if you'd like. But last question having to do with film is I think we would all agree, and I think we all do agree that Chloe has Best Director lined up. If nothing else happens, that in that race, that the achievement, the artsiness of it, the message of it, the appeal of her makes it almost like the perfect nomination. Does anyone disagree with that?
No.
I have her winning, but I would point out the year that Catherine Bigelow won the Oscar, she lost the Golden Globe to James Cameron for Avatar, which was a much showier kind of directorial achievement. That was also the highest grossing movie of all time. So I don't know if you could put David Fincher for Mank in exactly that same category, but you know, it wouldn't surprise me if he were to win, because I mean, we saw just last year we were all predicting Bong Joon-ho would win for Parasite at the Globes, and then Sam Mendes surprised all of us and won, and that sort of made him the Oscar frontrunner up until the Oscars, where Bong Joon-ho won. So I don't know if she's completely got it sewn up, but I think it looks really good for her.
Okay, I'm dashing now. Do you guys want to wrap things up here and do a separate comedy thing, or do you want to keep going?
Well, I know we're doing Slugfest on the Golden Globes day. We're doing pre-shows, so we're going to talk about our TV and our film predictions then. If you guys want to just wait till then,
or we can reconvene tomorrow to do comedy. But my phone's ringing crazy here. There's obviously something I'm supposed to be doing and have forgotten. So I'm going to sign off. Thank you, everybody. This is what a wonderful Globe race it is. There's so much on the line. However, there's so much time between the Globes and the Oscars. They're going to forget. It's like the Halle Berry and Denzel year. They all completely forgot about Russell Crowe and Cicely Tyson by the time that Derby lasted 17 months after the last one. But I shall bid adieu, and thank you, everybody, so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you all for watching.
yes, we'll see you on